Night's loss, overtime loss to James Harden and the Rockets. And LeBron talked about how he didn't come through for his teammates and was all off rhythm. He also posted the following on Instagram. Here's the caption. It says, "Looking in the mirror tonight after a tough loss. Of my part, like your biggest challenge, competition, drive, obstacle, motivation, etc. So it's nothing you haven't seen before. Back in the lab tomorrow to continue the drive to striving to be the greatest I've ever seen." And the hashtag is strive for greatness, folks. He's still striving for greatness. So I'll start with you, Freddie. I don't know. We're putting him on the couch, and I feel like it's obvious who he's talking to. Maybe it's more so, what is he really saying?
That's a really good question. I don't know what the hell he's saying.
I have no idea.
Seriously, I mean, is he trying to do the old Michael Jordan thing, trying to find motivation where nobody else is looking for motivation? I mean, LeBron doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, so I don't mind somebody having high standards. He didn't like the way that he played. I mean, he missed 7 out of his final 8 free throws, including the 2 that cost the Cleveland Cavaliers the game against Houston in overtime. I know he wants to be the best of all time. That's been his motto. He doesn't want to just be on Jordan's line. He wants people to regard him, in my opinion, better than Michael Jordan, better than Kobe Bryant. He wants to be in that Mount Rushmore of players. I just wonder, why do you need to do that when you're that great, when you're LeBron James? It seems like either he's searching for self-validation or for other people to validate him, to justify what he's doing. I think sometimes he wonders if people don't see the hard work and what he's done, because we should all be that bad at our jobs. We scored 35 points. People, oh, that was terrible. You know, we should all be that bad at our jobs, have a performance like that. But you pick out the one thing that he didn't do, or the couple of things he didn't do. I understand it. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, are you trying to send yourself a message? Are you trying to send your teammates a message?
Or maybe he's just trying to let the haters know, or the people who constantly critique him.
You gotta leave. You know what? You gotta leave those fools over there, because those fools are not going anywhere. They're always going to find something about you, because if he wasn't any good, no one would be talking about him. We know how great he is. So why are you trying to curry favor with people that are never going to want to be on your side, or that would want you on their side?
That's wise right there.
Well, I don't read this like that at all. I think the greatest sign of strength is being vulnerable and admitting your weaknesses. And I think LeBron has always done a really, really good job of that. Throughout his career, he's always been, I didn't play well enough, or I need to do more. That's something that's always been his strength. And also, he is a product of social media, too. He lives in the day and age when people are reacting to him on Twitter, on Instagram, where you can cultivate a huge brand presence. And obviously, LeBron has plenty of that. But also, part of it is because he's good on social. So stuff like this makes sense to me. This is part of his brand. It's always been part of his brand. And also, it's a bit of poetry in there. You may not take it literally, but it does pop back up as an emotion, and you know what he's trying to say.
LeBron, but in ourselves, so that's what you're saying?
He's saying, I mean, yes, not literally, but you know what he's saying in that.
What is he saying?
He's
in a haiku?
Yeah. I understand.
He's saying, I didn't play well, and I'm going to go get this.
Yeah, Kate, I understand social media. Believe I understand the whole thing with Twitter and Instagram. I'm not going to be Clint Eastwood, hey, get off my Twitter. I'm not doing that when it comes to LeBron James. I'm just saying that was just a little bit too much. I understand a couple of lines here and there, and he even put one line about, way to trick yourself, the free throw line. And for those who don't know, if you look that up, that's not the kind of term I want next to LeBron James. Believe me. Go to Urban Dictionary and look it up. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just saying he just had this whole soliloquy. I was like, how do I not love thee? Let me count the ways. How do I need to be better? Let me count the ways. LeBron, to me, doesn't have to prove that to me. I understand being on social media, you have to do that part of your branding. I completely get that. It just seemed to be just a bit too much on Instagram.
He doesn't need to prove it to you, but he needs to prove it to himself.
Well, yeah, I think this is just a perfect example of he's a polarizing figure because of the decision, because of Miami. Then he comes up short. Then he goes back home to Cleveland, and I think this either fuels fire to his haters, or it has people saying, I love this access to him. I'm in the camp where I like the fact that he's out there, that he's open, because so many players and superstar athletes play it close to the vest, and they don't want you to see a personal side of them. They don't want you to see vulnerability. They don't want you to see the struggle. And I think he's very open with that. So I can appreciate it. I actually like when he does stuff like this. But I can totally see the other side, though. I can totally see the other side, though, where the haters are like, come on, or they roll the eyes and be like, Really? That's what you're going to put out there?
Look, earlier that when Dominique Wilkins was here, he said he's the greatest player in the world. LeBron is always going to be in the conversation. He is the greatest. He doesn't need to do this. It doesn't even make sense. He had a bad night.
But he's human.
But yeah.
I think it shows a human side to him, that he does struggle with this, that he knows he played a bad game, that he does want to be the best, the strive for greatness. Oh, you're a hater. Aren't you?
I mean, just because he's great doesn't mean that when he misses 2 key free throws and he goes home, he's not processing that.
Right.
And he
Right.
offers insight.
Which I appreciate, because I think way too many players would be like, my check is still going to clear. I'm still going to have
Not the great ones.
Not the great ones.
Not
That's
the great
why
ones.
That's why I like
Yeah.
this. That's why I think it brings that to the forefront.
I don't know. I understand your point, but I see it another way. I don't see Jordan being like.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't want to compare
I think
LeBron to
they were
Jordan.
ticked off and like.
But he
Yeah.
wouldn't have been on social media.
But
There's a lot that would have happened with Jordan if social media.
Yeah, I know. He would have been in trouble.
Good.
That's another topic for another day.
Can you imagine that?
No, we cannot.
Jordan Muhammad on social media? Oh,
All right,
my
so
God.
we asked you earlier if LeBron James had, actually James Harden had moved ahead in the MVP race, and the results are in from the Twitter. You guys on the Twitter are speaking, and you said
Are
yes.
they ever?
Yeah, are they ever?
Yes, they are.
They're there.
The answer is yes, 57%. James Harden did move ahead in the MVP discussion after yesterday's performance.
So where did they have him?
Huh?
Maybe
did they have
he
James
moved
Harden?
even farther ahead,
Yeah,
possibly.
he went from like 1A to 1.
Yeah.
That's where he went.
But I think that was a significant move for the casual NBA fan who wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
All of a
that's
sudden,
fair.
there's this spotlight game on a Sunday afternoon
That's
against
fair.
LeBron.
And a lot of people don't know about James Harden.
Right.
That's fair.
Right. And I think
Okay.
that squarely, I think that was
All
a
right.
big move.
That's fair.
You're funny. All right, so let's move on to he's now 1 as opposed to 1A.
Oh, 1A, now he's just 1. King of all he surveys. They put King James on the Houston Rockets Twitter account for James Harden.
All right, so here we go. The Thunder defeated the Lakers last night. Not necessarily shocking. Improving to 5-10 the season if games played with both Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Westbrook underwent surgery Saturday. He had a fracture in his face. It was crazy in his right cheek. He was injured during the fourth quarter of Friday's game against Portland when teammate Andre Robertson inadvertently kneed him in the face, leaving a dent. Westbrook evaluated later on this week. It'll determine whether or not he can come back and play. No timetable just yet. I'm looking at this video. He's not there. Durant's not there. Let's talk about their season. Is this a loss for OKC now that both of these guys are injured?
I don't put anything past this team anymore.
Okay.
Seriously, because they're able to find a way. Now, we're not.
Find a way to do what?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure that out too. But they always seem to just stay together. And they're still a young basketball team, relatively speaking, because we know Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook are their leaders. But they're still a young basketball team dealing with this. And all right, they're not there. We got to go play. Because it could have been very easy for that team to look at the Lakers and say, we're going to beat them anyway. They said, no, we're going to go out there and make sure we don't leave anything to chance.
Yeah.
The Western Conference is so wide open to me that you know Durant and Westbrook are going to be back there by the time the end of the season rolls around, and they don't need a lot of runway to get ready. They're still a legitimate threat. And now look who else has stepped in. Ennis Cantor has been a godsend, getting him the trade from Utah. Mitch McGary is now healthy. So now you got younger, stronger, longer defenders to go with Steven Adams. Serge Ibaka now doesn't have to be the only shot block. He's got help on the front line. Other people have been able to step up. And I think a big part of that is that Reggie Jackson no longer being part of this basketball team. For whatever it was, he was okay last year. This year, that cancer work came up when it came to him in that locker room. I don't put anything past Oklahoma City because I believe these guys are going to be healthy. And would you really want to face that team in the first round of playoffs in the Western Conference? Not me. Not me. I think they'll be fine.
The team that's healthy or the team that's not healthy?
Well, of course, the team that's healthy.
So I think if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan and you're looking at this season right now, I think you've got to think of it as a lost cause. I really do, unless they go on a deep run and they pull off the upset. But right now, if they're for the 8th seed and they're going against the 1 Golden State, I don't like their chances in that matchup. And yeah, if Durant gets hot and Westbrook plays like he's capable of playing and Cantor comes in and he's a dominant force in the middle, then yeah, they could do it. But I look at this team as being, they were on the cusp of being this force in the West, and they have come up short every single time, whether they're getting swept out of the playoffs or, losing to yet another Spurs team. Whatever it is, they have failed to live up to expectations. Now they get off to the slow start because of injuries. They started off 15-17. Durant's out, Westbrook's out. Then they get him back. Then all of a sudden Westbrook comes back and he's on fire, 3 triple-doubles. Then he has a setback. Now Durant has his screw coming out. And I know they're minor things,
right.
But for me, I think you've got to look at this, and this should have been a year that the Thunder should have been one of the top seeds, so they're getting a better matchup in the front. Now they're backdooring their way into the playoffs. I just think you look at it, time is running out on Durant's contract. He's going to be free after next season. I just think the time is running out for the Thunder, and I think this season is a lost cause.
It can't be a lost cause because these guys, yes, they're young, but they're not that young. Durant, Westbrook, this is a year together in the prime of their careers where they could possibly be back on the floor by April together again. And Russell Westbrook has turned a corner in my mind, in everybody's mind, and not just on the floor where he had one of the best months in the history of the NBA, but also mentally. I mean, he seems more mature. He seems like he's keeping them together more. Some of his quotes about making mistakes and shooting too much, stuff we've never heard from Russell Westbrook.
He seems like it,
yes.
But at the same time, a
He's
couple
still
weeks
him.
ago, he's taking on a reporter saying, I don't like you, and like taking on...
Well, they
Everybody's
have
taking
a
on
history,
media
though.
these days, though.
Yeah.
Get in line.
Yeah, but
Get in line.
they still have a history. They have a history. Not condoning,
Right.
but they have a history,
Right.
though.
Right, but now Durant's got this new, chip on his shoulder
Yeah, I don't
as
know
well.
what's up with that.
Well, he said he
you
had a
could look at-
bad day. He
Well, that's
walked
He had
it
a
back.
moment.
He had
He had a moment.
a moment in time.
He didn't go on Instagram and tell about that moment.
Uh-oh.
Is that me again?
I thought that's you again.
Have I
That's
said
not,
too
no.
much?
See, I didn't bring
Have
it
I
up.
gone too
That
far?
you've gone too far.
Have I gone too far?
I
Yeah.
mean, this latest injury to Russell Westbrook, he's going to be back. It's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, unless I'm missing something on
I
that.
mean, you never know how a guy, he's going to have the mask on, he's going to play with that. You don't know him. He's an aggressive player. Is that going to be taken away
He's
at
going to
all?
be even more aggressive with that mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has no fear, and I think that's why it's not a lost season to me with Oklahoma City, because they're going to be really fearless in the first round. And Golden State, I still worry about their frontline defense because Andrew Bogut, can he stay healthy? David Lee has been okay, but he's been an unwilling defender at times. And now you're going to have all that beef coming at you to clear the way for Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. That is not going to be an easy first-round matchup because of what they've added to their front line against what may be the one Achilles heel of the Golden State Warriors.
You could also look at the other side of the coin and be like, they're going to be rested. I mean, Durant is going to have more rest than any other.
Rusty.
That's a good point.
Rested and rusty. It could be either
But
one of the R's.
that 82 game, these guys are always
Here's what I'm
complaining
guilty
about.
of, too, and I hate this, that I hate the fact that I'm doing this, but it was about 10 days ago, I was on Mike and Mike with Greeny, and we had a conversation about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he asked, do I think they were legit championship contender? And I said yes, because they were just getting back together.
Yeah.
And I have completely changed because I've looked at what happened to Chicago Bulls. I thought they were too. All of a sudden, they start getting hit the injury bug. A lot of it's about attrition, who stays healthy. That's why the Spurs forever, rested guys, said, hey, we're going to get healthy at the right time. It still could come together for Oklahoma City. I just don't believe it until I see them all together stay on the court for a lengthy period of time.
All right. Well, we obviously wish both players well and that they get back to the game soon because NBA does need them to play well. Speaking of playing well, 53 years ago today, you were not born yet.
Yeah, not too far away, though.
53 years ago today, Wilt Chamberlain, he had his 100-point game. Do you ever think we'll see that again? Someone will have 100 points. Kobe, close.
Yeah,
Will we
yeah,
have it again?
81 and 06.
I know. So
07.
can we see that again? That is the discussion after the break. We'll be right back in just a few moments.